Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Uncivilized Arts Podcast, a podcast where we talk about geek and internet culture with a lean towards creativity and cultural impact. I am your host, Bumi Hazan, although I go by Bandit Haze in the online space. And today, I would like to talk to you guys about a few things. I'd like to talk to you guys a little bit about Halo Infinite. I'd like to talk to you guys a little bit more about Top Boy Season 4. I'd like to talk to you guys a little bit about Fortnite and them temporarily removing the building mechanic, and I'd like to talk to you guys just a little bit more about Hogwarts Legacy and the backlash that that's received due to JK Rowling and her views on certain members of the human population. But before we get into all of that, let me give you guys just a little bit of an update on the sound. So last week I was talking about trying a software to reduce like the mouth noises, the noises, that sort of thing, right? Just going to take a sip of water because water helps. And I did that, but I wasn't real happy with the outcome, to be honest with you. Like, it got rid of some of the noises, didn't get rid of all of the noises, which I guess, to be fair, they're never going to get rid of all of them. But it got rid of, I guess, most of the noises, most of the smaller ones, and some of the bigger ones. It just kind of reduced it down a little bit. But overall, I wasn't particularly happy with the sound quality, with how it actually just sounded. I felt like it took too much out. So I'm not saying I'm never ever going to use it again. I might need to learn how to use these things a bit better and maybe tweak it or whatever. But for now, I might just allow it or maybe try something else. But I am drinking water because apparently coffee makes it worse, unfortunately. So I'm drinking water still. Well, you probably heard the bottle there. And yeah, that's what that's about. But I did listen, well, I do listen to podcasts, but I guess now I listen to podcasts a little bit differently now that I'm recording podcasts more frequently myself. So I'm listening to some podcasts, some of the big podcasts actually. And I did notice that even them have like those kind of noises coming up every now and then. So now I don't feel so bad. Now I don't feel so bad. Now I'm like, if those guys with all their fancy equipment and their editors and their this, that, and the other are still having that noises coming through every now and then, now I don't feel so bad. But anyway, hopefully it sounds pleasant to your ears. Hopefully the mouth noises don't interrupt you too much. Well, more importantly, I guess, hopefully you like what I have to say, or if you don't like what I have to say, you can let me know that too. It's not about just agreeing with me. Of course, it's about a conversation and creating opportunities for us all to learn, because we're all learning. I'm learning, as we're all learning. So I'm not here to be like, oh, I know everything and my way is the way. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. I have my opinions on things. I have my viewpoints on things shaped by the life that I've led and the things that I've seen. But certainly I don't experience everything and how everybody else experiences the world. So as we're talking about certain things, especially as we get into the Hogwarts Legacy topic a bit later on, I just think it's important to express that I'm not here to try and force my opinion on everybody. That's never what this is about. But I do have thoughts, I do have opinions, I do have views on certain things, and if you agree with me, that's cool. You can let me know why you agree with me, or if there's other things I should consider, because just because we're in agreement doesn't necessarily mean that we see things the same way. So we could always talk about that as well. Or if you disagree with me, then you can let me know that too, and why you disagree, and maybe there's things that I haven't considered and things that I should look up to be more informed. So yeah, just a little impromptu disclaimer. I was not planning on doing that disclaimer, but it just kind of sounded like perhaps I should as I was talking. So yeah, there we go. But anyway, let me talk a little bit about Halo Infinite. So I've been talking about it for the past few weeks. I've been playing it for a while now, and I got to a point in this game where, so last week I was at the Silent Auditorium, or rather, no, I wasn't in the Silent Auditorium. I just got to the Silent Auditorium now. But last week I was in like this thing before that where you gun up all these levels and then you fight all these enemies and you shoot them down, and the levels kind of get a little bit harder and harder. And I think it was the third level that I was on at the beginning. So I've played that level now, and there was a boss at the end of that. I beat, well, a couple of bosses actually. So I beat them, and then you go into the Silent Auditorium where you're looking for I can't remember what it is now. Where you're looking for a thing in the Silent Auditorium, and you get to this point in there where you have these two hunters. Now, for those who don't know, real quick, in Halo universe, hunters are a class of enemy that they're quite big. They're bigger than most enemies. They're heavily armored. They have these massive guns. They've got shields as well, armor and shields. I mean, so they got their body armor and they have these shields. They take a lot more bullets to take down. In previous games, they've had like weak points and stuff like that. In this one, they don't so much do have the weak points. You just kind of have to shoot them down. I mean, they do have weak points, but their weak points are a little bit harder to get at in this one. So you end up just shooting them their armor down. And so they are supposed to be harder than the average enemy, and that's fine. That's what the hunters do. They always come in twos, by the way. That's something that they've done in every Halo game. Hunters always come in twos. They're like Sith. There's always two of them. Never more, never less. Always two hunters. And there's hunters throughout various points of the game that I've come across. Now, usually when you come across with the hunters, what typically happens is that you either have a big weapon somewhere, like a rocket launcher or something like that, somewhere in the area where you can use that to take them down, or you have like a lot of places where you can take cover and avoid their fire and them just charging at you and that kind of thing. When you get to the silent auditorium, however, you get to this room with the two hunters, and you don't have a big weapon. Well, there is a powerful weapon there, but it's not powerful enough to take them down quickly, and but you don't have cover, or rather you do, but you can't really use it much because it's kind of thin pillars that you have, and there's a few shields and some boxes around, but it's not much. And apparently, just another sip of water. Apparently, these particular hunters are harder than the normal hunters. Like, they actually take more bullets. But the thing is, regardless of that fact, whether that's true or not, they are just unnecessarily hard in this section. Now, maybe that's partly because they purposely made them take more bullets than the normal hunters, maybe. But I feel like the real reason why they're purposefully hard is the fact that you don't have the powerful weapon to take them down quickly. And you don't have enough cover. So you're constantly just getting shot at. You do have a shield, of course, and your shield does regenerate, but you need to be in cover so your shield can regenerate. And you don't often get enough time to be in cover while your shield regenerates with them just shooting at you. And so you're kind of just running around and hoping for the best for the most part while you're trying to take down these hunters. And we take down one of them, the other one gets way more aggressive. Like, they're aggressive just anyway, just kind of, chasing you around, shooting at you, just on you, just anyway. You got one on one side, another on another side. Oh, you know what? Let me switch the screen, by the way. So I forgot to switch the screen, so people watching on the videos can see just for the Halo. But if you're not watching, then it doesn't really matter. But anyway, so yeah, you got Halo enemies on the one hunter on one side of you, another hunter on another side of you. So you're trying to take cover, but you can only take cover from one of them because the other one's going to be shoot at you, and then so you're trying to move to the other side, and then you finally get down one enemy, and like I said, the other one gets just way more aggressive, and then it's on you, and it's like the way you take down an enemy, and they try it again, and it's like it doesn't even work. The next time, it's going to try something else. And because they're just changing up their tactics each and every time, and it is super frustrating. Like, that level, they are harder than the bosses. Like, every boss I faced so far, they are harder than those. There is no good reason for those hunters to be that hard. And I ended up searching online. I searched, why are these hunters so hard? Like, why are the hunters in a silent auditorium so hard? I literally searched those exact words on Google. And I didn't I didn't watch the videos because I thought, I don't really want to know how to beat them right now. I just wanted to search that, and some videos came up with how to beat the hunters. I don't watch those, and some other stuff. I think it was a Reddit post as well talking about it as well, and that's where I saw something about them apparently taking more bullets than the other hunters throughout the game. But I didn't really read too much into it. But yeah, it just frustrated me a lot. I was on that for a long time, just dying over and over again. And it's at a point in the game where it's like you're in too deep now. You know what I mean? Like, you're in too deep. If it was at the beginning of the game, I would be like, nah, allow this and never play it. Like, just don't even bother. But it's at a point in the game where it's like, I've been playing for a while. I don't want to give up now. I do want to get to the end. I've been playing too long to turn back now. You know what I mean? I've been playing way too long to just pull it down now. I don't know how far I am in the game. I feel like I'm near the end. The story seems like it's starting to wrap up. So it feels like in the next maybe 5 to 10 hours of gameplay, give or take. Well, probably more close. I feel like in the next 5 hours, 10 hours sounds a bit long actually. But I feel like in the next maybe 5 or so hours of gameplay, well, assuming that I don't face other enemies that are this hard, and that bumps up to like next 20 hours of gameplay because I'm trying the same level over and over again. But I do feel like where I am right now, it feels like it's wrapping up. So I don't know, maybe there's way more to it. we'll see. But I did eventually get past those hunters, and so the part I'm at now is I don't even remember right now. It was some, I guess it's regular enemies I'm facing right now. What I'm looking for, a thing, something to do with Cortana and Cortana making a mistake and something like that. To be honest, the story is kind of like, there is a story, and it's a bit difficult to follow, mainly because I'm not playing frequently. I'm playing kind of bit by bit, and I think I started playing this game pretty much when it came out on the campaign modes, which was I don't even remember when it came out. So a few months ago now, more than a few months actually. And so I've kind of been playing it bit by bit when I get a chance to. So yeah, the story's kind of like there's something to do with Cortana and the weapon, Atriox and Harbinger and Escharum and the Banished, and I'm just shooting dudes right now. I mean, shooting dudes. That's pretty much what I'm doing. Just going through the game, shooting dudes, and letting this weapon thing talk to you, the Cortana copy talk to you. That's pretty much what I'm doing in this game. But I'm enjoying it, though. I am enjoying it. I use that term loosely because those hunters piss me off. But overall, I'm still digging the game. I'm still digging the game. So anyway, let me talk a little bit about Top Boy now. I want to talk about Top Boy. Top Boy Season 4. Or Top Boy Season 2 if you're on Netflix. So the first 2 seasons were on Channel 4. It went on a hiatus for a while, and then Netflix took over, brought it back. I think like 6 or 7 years later, they brought it back, and I guess you could call it a soft reboot, where they didn't start again, but they did change the way they did it. So before, the first 2 seasons were I think 4 episodes per season, and then from season the Netflix ones are 8 episodes, I think 8 to 10 episodes, I think, in each season. So they've kind of changed the way they've done it a little bit. But I want to talk about the last season, and I'm going to get into a few spoilers here. So if you'd rather not hear those spoilers, there are time links in the description. Whether you are listening to this or watching this, there are time links. So you might want to skip to the next section if you don't want to hear time links. I won't get to the spoilers just yet. I'll let you know when I get to those. But there are time links for those if you want to skip ahead and not hear those spoilers. But first of all, let me just say that as a very non-spoiler review point, if you've not watched Top Boy, it is a great show. I think they do a really good job of showing how gang life in London can go, and how easy it can be to get involved with gangs. From the first couple of seasons, you had these characters who, they're trying to do the right thing, and one of them is very much on the straight and narrow. The other one is, a little bit not so much, but that whole thing there. And then you see how that progresses over those couple of seasons and how it can get real serious real quick. And then by the time you get to season 3, when the Netflix first season, or season 3, when they brought it back, and then because there was that 6-year gap, they showed, well, they didn't really show, but by the time you come back, you find out that, Deshane's been in Jamaica for a while. Sully's been to prison for a while. And that kind of thing. And Sully, I feel, is the most developed character in this series, from how he was in the original run, where he was very kind of gung-ho, maybe a little bit wet behind the ears, a little bit too eager to be like this gangster, and that kind of thing. And, not really thinking about his actions too much, whereas Deshane was always the smarter one of the two and really trying to think things through and that kind of thing. So Deshane often was getting him out of trouble. But by the time you get to season 3, where Sully's been in prison for a while and he comes out of prison, and you can tell from there he's seeing things differently. And especially after, by the way, this is where I get into some spoilers for season 3. So again, if you want to skip ahead, warning. Just give me some time. But yeah, when I can't remember the kid's name, but there was he was a child in the original one. He's a bit older. He's like a teenager in season 3, and he's hanging around with him. He's kind of a mentor to him, and he ends up getting killed in a fire. And then from there, you see how it affects Sully and how he's changing. Part of him, they don't really say explicitly, but it feels like part of him doesn't want to do that anymore, doesn't want to be in his life anymore. And then part of him, that's all he knows and really wants to do it. And then by the time you get to season 4, I feel like that's more emphasized, where he's living in this yacht in the beginning, and he's really away from this whole thing. Only really kind of gets pulled back because of his cousin Pebbles, and I'm going to talk about Pebbles in a little bit, by the way. But I just feel like his character is one of the most interesting characters, and I feel the way Kano plays him is just brilliant, because like you see a lot of his emotions just coming through, even when he's not saying anything. And especially if you watched it over from the original run to this run, you can kind of see that development of who he is as a person and the things that he feels he has to do versus maybe what he wants to do, and that kind of conflicts there. So at the end of season 3, where he kills Driss on the roof, like he didn't want to do it. At least I kind of felt like he didn't want to do it, but he also felt like he had to do it. So there's a kind of conflict between who he wants to be versus who he feels he needs to be. And then you see that more in this. Now he's going to have to look after his cousin. And then that bringing him back more into the life, because Deshane ends up having to rescue him, because when he gets involved with... Oh, by the way, spoilers for season 4 now. My bad. Spoilers for season 4. So if you want to skip ahead, this is spoilers for season 4. But he gets involved with his cousin, and he tries to help his cousin, but the gangsters that his cousin was involved with, they end up capturing him. They find out where he is. They beat him up. They put the video on Snapchat. Deshane and his crew can end up finding him, and they get him out of that situation. So now he's back with Deshane and going to, I think it was Spain or Morocco. I can't remember which one, but he goes abroad with Jamie, and that whole relationship there where he doesn't trust Jamie, where Deshane sees Jamie, as he says, his retirement plan. And when he gets Jamie to kill his friend Kit, because of what Kit involvement with At, Deshane is looking at it like, I can trust this guy, or potentially looking at it like, I trust this guy. As far as the audience is concerned, you look at I can trust this guy, whereas Sully's looking at it like, nah, I don't trust you. And from the beginning, Sully's always been that character. He's never seen Deshane as his boss. He doesn't, and that's kind of part of the conflict they have with each other as well. He doesn't see Deshane as his boss. He kind of sees them more as partners, with equal footing. Whereas Deshane is like very much a natural leader in the way he speaks about things. So there's always been a conflict there. But when it got to the end of that season, and when Jamie, man, he opened that door and he was there, when Sully was there, and just like, I might need to watch again to be sure, but I feel like Sully didn't even look who answered the door. He just shot. That's how it feels like to me. I might need to double check to be sure, but it feels like Sully didn't even look who answered it. He just shot, and that was Jamie. Bang, bang, bang. And then his brothers are seeing that, and then Tia sees that, and it's like, mate. And after what Jamie did, Jamie didn't want to take out Ats either. Kit, excuse me. Jamie didn't want to take out Kit. He was trying to escape. And the only reason why he did it is because he kind of realized that if he goes, that's going to affect his brother's education. He chose his brothers over his friend, like his blood brothers, Aaron, because Aaron's studying. He can't uproot that. And he just thought, well, if I'm going to stay, then I need to make it okay with Deshane, and perhaps Jamie doesn't really trust Deshane that fully either. I guess we'll never find out now. But Jamie probably doesn't trust Deshane that much either. But he's probably thinking, look, I need to play it this way at least for now, until we can get a better footing. So it's like, look, if we're going to stay here, then I need to make it okay with Deshane, and the only way he's going to make it okay with Deshane is if he takes out Kit. And he took out his friend Kit, and after what he said to Steph, his brother Steph, about making up with your, because Steph was angry with Ats because they didn't know Ats is dead yet, and he was talking to him and he's saying, look, it's like me and Kit, like I've got his back and he's got my back no matter what. And I guess that was true, but it also shows how even that kind of loyalty could be tested. And this is really what I'll talk about with this show when I say that it talks what is portrayal of gang life. If you're watching a show like Top Boy and you're thinking it glorifies gangs, or it promotes that kind of gang culture, makes it look cool. I mean, I guess in fairness, there are some parts of it that do look cool, in fairness. But I think if you're taking it all in, it really doesn't. It really shows that kind of lifestyle, even when you play toe the line. You do what you're supposed to do. You do what you're being told to do, and you're trying to make everything right, as Jamie was. Even still, you could end up shot on your own doorstep. And what I liked about Pebble's character is coming back to her, because a lot of people, I saw online, a lot of people didn't like her character. They said she was annoying. And yeah, she's annoying. She's annoying. But she was supposed to be. But what I liked about her, at least what I liked about what she represented, at least this is what I got from it anyway. I'd have to assume this is intentional. But what I liked about her character and the way what she represented was this. I felt like she represented the type of person who does watch a show like Top Boy, or who listens to, gangster rap or whatever, and thinks, oh, this is cool, I'm going to go do that. I feel like she represented that type of person in the show. And, she goes and does it and gets in over her head real quick, real quick. And it shows how that affects, the people around her, in particular Sully in this case, how he ended up, getting beaten up, dragged out. And then she still hasn't really learned her lesson, So learn your lesson. If you're thinking this is making gang life look cool and glamorous and whatever, nah. That is a tough life. That is a tough life. No matter which part of the world you're in, whatever kind of gang, drugs, guns, whatever, that's a tough life. And bare people end up dead, crippled, in jail. It's not the life you want to be leading. But yeah, Top Boy, I'm really digging Top Boy. I've liked Top Boy from the beginning. I felt they've always done told great stories and told them in amazing stories and in just really great ways. And this season is just incredible from the jump, from the beginning, from all it did with drawing you into the story, with the characters. And yeah, so if you've not watched Top Boy, well, I'll kind of spoil it right now, so you know what happens, but it's still worth watching. But yeah, it's all on Netflix. Netflix bought it over a couple of years back. And as a side thing, this is, so here's the thing. I sometimes do extras work, so which means that when you watch a movie or a TV show, the guys who are in the background, the extras, sometimes I'm that guy. And I've been doing that for some years now, probably close to about 6 or 7 years now I've been doing that. And I haven't done a lot in that time, to be fair, because it's schedules, is if and when you can do it, and you don't always get to do it, even if you are available. So I haven't done a lot, but I've done some pretty cool projects. And most of the projects I'm probably not in. I don't always watch the films and the TV shows that I do extra works for. But out of the ones I have watched, I'm not always in them because things get cut out and whatever, right? But sometimes you make the cut. And I'm in this one. So yeah, I was an extra on Top Boy, on the last season of Top Boy. I'm in episode 3 of the last season, so season 4 for the old school guys, or season 2 on the Netflix side of things. But yeah, there's a scene where Jamie and Steph are they're in a chip shop, and he's telling Steph that he's going away, and they kind of get into that sort of mini argument because it pisses off Steph a little bit. But there's a couple of guys in the back. You won't recognize me. I'm a blur, but there's a couple of guys in the back. One's got his back to the camera and he's kind of turning his face to the camera, and there's another guy sitting with his face to the camera, but kind of maybe leaning over. I'm that guy. I'm that blur. I'm wearing a blue sort of jacket, because we're dressed as sort of construction workers, just sitting in the restaurant, in the shop, in the cafe, and yeah, so that's that blur in the background is me. So it's always cool when you make the cut. Like I say, you ain't gonna recognize me if you watch it. It's a quick flash. So quick flash. But that was me. That was I think we were there for, I can't even remember. It was a while. I don't think it was a full day. I think we were there for maybe 5 or 6 hours, from being in holding where you're waiting to go on set, to being on set, coming off set, going back on set, shooting, reshooting, that kind of thing. In total, I think it was about 5 or 6 hours we're on that set for. And my bit is literally just it's probably less than a second. It's just I'm on screen, a blur in the background on screen for half a second, and it's then I'm gone. But that was my contribution to the current season of Top Boy, blur in the background. So there you go. But yeah, and I've done extras work for a while, and Like I said, I've done. There's a few things that I'm actually in, mostly blurs in the background. There is one where I'm not a blur in the background, but you don't see my face because I'm holding a gun and it's covered. I'm not going to tell you what that is just yet. Some people might already know. In fact, some people just might already know. In fact, some of you, yeah, I'm pretty sure some of you already know. But anyway, for those who don't know, I won't say just yet. But yeah, there is a film that I did a few years ago where in the final cut, I'm in focus. I'm in focus, but my face is covered. So yeah, you won't recognize me again. It's like not on screen for very long, and my face is covered. You won't see me, but I know where I was. I know where I was. I am, however, in a trailer to that film, but a bit in the trailer doesn't make it to the movie itself. So again, I'm not going to say what it is just yet. Some of you already know. Some of you already know. I'm in the trailer, very clear in the trailer, face, all that. You see me, yeah, in the trailer, but in the movie, I'm there in focus, but my face is covered. But anyway, let me move on. But yeah, so go watch Top Boy if you not watch Top Boy. Great show, great series, and yeah, I really dig Top Boy. But let's move on to Fortnite. I want to talk just a little bit about Fortnite. Not too much about Fortnite because when it comes down to it, I don't play Fortnite. I've played it a few times. I've tried to get into it. It's just not my type of game. It was fun when I was playing with some friends, you know, because you're kind of just messing around and having a good time. But to play as like a, you know, to keep playing and try to level up or whatever it is, it just wasn't doing it for me. And the biggest thing about why it wasn't doing it for me was what I want to talk about actually. Fortnite is removing the building mechanic from the game. So the fort part of Fortnite is going. Apparently it's not going fully though. Like I read somewhere, I can't remember if it was this. I don't think it was this article actually, but I read somewhere that it's just part of the game. I think the more competitive sides are still keeping it. I may be wrong on that little detail. Maybe someone could correct me, but I'm sure I read somewhere that it's only part of the game where they're removing it temporarily. I guess to see how it goes and then slide from there. But it's interesting because, like I said, that was the biggest thing that I didn't particularly like about Fortnite. You know, I mean, I would say in general, I'm not a fan of Battle Royale games. Out of the ones I've played, most of them don't really do it for me. The one I liked the most was probably Apex Legends, but even that, it's like, it's all right for a while, but then, you know, wasn't my kind of game in the end. Warzone, I played a little bit. I didn't like that. And I played a mobile version of what's it called? Player Unknown Battleground. And yeah, I didn't really like it too much either. I haven't played a full version of it. Maybe I feel differently about that, but I'm not in any rush to try it. But the point is that out of the Battle Royale games I've played, I haven't really liked very many of them. And the ones I did like, not enough to keep playing it over and over and over again. But Fortnite, like I say, the biggest thing that annoyed me about it was his build mechanic. I couldn't get to grips with it. It just felt cumbersome. Of course, if you practice it, you get good. I know I've seen people just build all these kind of forts in like, I don't know, like 5 seconds, whatever, building up these massive palaces and things like that. I'm like, I'm nowhere close to that. I'm not even trying to get on that level. It's just this whole thing just annoyed me. The collecting, the build, it's annoyed me. So I've not tried it since they've removed it. I think they removed it. I think it has been removed at the time of recording this video, but I've not played it myself. But it is interesting in the sense that taking the very core thing out that makes the game, you know, the main thing that really separates it from other yeah, this is not live, but it's recorded live, mistakes and all. The main thing that separates it from other Battle Royale games is that building mechanic. Not the only thing, sure, but it is the biggest thing that separates it. So when you take that out, what are you left with? Is it just generic Battle Royale? So I guess I could understand why they only take it out of parts of the game for now and then see how that goes, and possibly they'll take it out of the other part later. We'll see. But it's just interesting to me, really, just from a creative point of view and a business point of view, really, that you'll just take something out of the game, and that is a very core thing that makes the game is literally in the name, Fortnite. You build forts. That is what the game is. What is a Fortnite without the forts? Just night, right? So yeah, this is an interesting piece of news, and it'd be interesting to see what it does for Fortnite going forward. If this experiment is, you know, successful, so to speak, do they take it out completely? Does it become a completely different game? We'll see. And another thing that I heard David Jaffe say when he was talking about this is that, what does it do for people who play this game, professionally or semi-professionally, or, on Twitch or whatever, where you practically make a living out of playing Fortnite? What does that do for those? Are they having to relearn the game? Does it make that much of a difference? So I just think this is interesting in terms of what it could do and what it could mean in the long run. But yeah, we won't know until, well, the long run becomes the now, really. So who knows? Maybe like a month from now, 2 months from now, we'll see what it does, or later down the line. But yeah, I was just like, man, they're actually going to do that. They're actually going to take the fort out of the Fortnite, and I might try and again, see if I could play it this time. I don't think I'd like it anyway, just because again, I'm not the battle royale guy. I've played other battle royale games. But I do like what they do with Fortnite, with the special events they have, like the Ariana Grande one, the Travis Scott one. I heard they do some really cool things, also with the different characters they get from like the Marvel universe, and John Wick, and I think Master Chief is in there, and bunch of characters from different franchises they've got. So I'm always hearing some really cool things that they do in with this game. But it's always kind of like, man, I wish I liked this game. When I hear all these cool things they do, I'm like, I wish I liked this game. But alas, I do not. It just doesn't do it for me. But yeah, I might try it again. Maybe, just maybe, this is the thing that makes me like it. Maybe. It probably won't be, but we'll see. But anyway, let's move on to the last thing that I'd like to discuss today. In fact, let me get my notes out, because I did make some notes of some things that I like to point out, just to make sure I cover the bases of all the things that I want to say. Now, this is something that I feel like we could be discussing for a while. Not just the Harry Potter part or the JK Rowling Hogwarts part. I feel like just the whole thing about cancel culture is such a big topic and wide-reaching topic that I think, like, in some form or fashion, we could be talking about this for a while to come. And I'll certainly, like I said before, I do want to get guests on, so I certainly want to get other people's views on these sorts of things as well. Because, like I say, that's how we progress, is how we create conversations and move forward. We have one viewpoint, another viewpoint. We discuss the viewpoints, and then we go from there. So, but for now, it's just going to be me and what I think about this thing. So this is the basis of where I'm at right now. But real quick on this story, just to catch y'all up, for those who might not know, Hogwarts Legacy. So it's a little sip of water right there. Hogwarts Legacy got revealed, I guess, a little while back. And, it looks really cool. I've never been big into Harry Potter games. I read one of the books and I've seen all the movies. I like Harry Potter. I wouldn't consider myself to be a Harry Potter fan. But, I like it. I guess I like it enough to sat through the whole movies and read one of the books. So that's where I'm at with Harry Potter. But I've never played any of the games. They just never looked that interested to me. And even when I heard about this, I didn't even bother look it up. It's only kind of because I started hearing a bunch of stuff about it. I was like, all right, well, maybe I should check that trailer if I'm going to be talking about this thing too. So I watched the gameplay reveal. And yeah, it does look pretty cool. I think it looks like it could be a real decent game, regardless of whether you like Harry Potter or not. I don't think I'd personally still be getting it for a few reasons. One is that I very rarely buy games brand new these days. So unless Microsoft pulls some strings and get it as a day one Game Pass thing, then I'm probably not going to be playing it on release. Probably not. Never say never, but probably not. But it does look pretty cool. It does look a really interesting game where they've actually built a good solid game rather than just making a Harry Potter game. It looks like they've made a good solid game, then, fills the Harry Potter world within that. And I think a lot of people are excited about it, not just Harry Potter fans, but of course, mainly Harry Potter fans. But then this is where it becomes an issue, because Harry Potter, of course, created by JK Rowling. And JK Rowling has been in the news over the last maybe couple of years or so for her remarks against the transgender community. Now, actually, let me rephrase that, because that might not be fair to say against the transgender community. And the reason for that is because it's very much debatable about what she's saying, whether that's actually, transphobic, or whether just people are just taking offense to it. And there is an important difference in that. Whether you're offended by JK Rowling's comments or not. I'm not here to tell you whether you should be or not. That's not what I'm about. You could be offended by anything you want to be offended by. I'm just trying to point out there is a difference between somebody being offensive and then somebody taking offense. So her comments, whether intended to or not, people have taken offense to it or have caused offense in enough people for this to be an issue. And because of that, this game's coming out and it looks cool and people are excited about it. And then the conversation comes up of, well, I want to buy this game, but I don't want to do things that support JK Rowling because I'm against what she stands for, against what she says about, transgender people. And that's kind of the debate right now. Can you buy this game and still criticize JK Rowling? Some people feel you can, some people feel you can't. So let me talk about what I think about this whole thing. Now, first of all, like I said, this kind of fits into the cancel culture kind of topic, and I've heard people say things like cancel culture doesn't exist. I don't think that's exactly true. However, I feel like there is a misunderstanding of what cancel culture is and how that kind of manifests itself. So first of all, I think we need to start with the definition. So culture itself, it just refers to, say, a set of, shall we say, art, fashion, styles, things like that are common within a particular group of people. So, for example, a particular style of clothing might be considered culture, part of a culture from a particular region, and that sort of thing. And in this particular case, behaviors, or in the case of cancel culture, that is behaviors, a behavior that is part of a particular group of people. So to say that there are people who, whenever somebody says something that they don't like, whether warranted or not, there are people who would get on Twitter, get on Insta, get on YouTube, get on whatever platform it is, and express that they don't like this and that they're going to boycott it, and that kind of thing. That does happen. People calling for Gina Carano to be cancelled. People saying things like, I'm going to cancel my Disney Plus subscription, and if they're going to continue to hire Gina Carano, that sort of thing. That does happen, and there are a lot of people doing it, right? We can't pretend that doesn't happen. And is that cancel culture? Is people trying to cancel things and it's a culture? So I feel like that, as a very basic definition, holds true. So to say cancel culture doesn't exist, not quite. That being said, like I said, I feel like there's some confusion about what's happening, because although that happens, is that necessarily a bad thing? Because ultimately, freedom of speech dictates that you can go online and express your dismay with certain things. If somebody does something you don't like, you're very much allowed to go on Twitter and say, I don't like what this person did, and I'm going to not buy their CD, their movie, watch their TV show, whatever it is, because I don't like this thing that this person did. And whatever that person did, whether it's something really egregious or whether you just don't like the way they tie their shoelaces, that's entirely up to you. You have the right to do that. People don't have to agree with it, but you have the right to do that. So is cancel culture a good thing or a bad thing? In my opinion, a little bit of both. And let me explain. Like I say, I don't think the issue is people expressing they don't like something or they rather avoid something if, a certain person is involved. Like I say, you have the right to do that. I think it becomes an issue, however, when people try to influence others or manipulate other people's thoughts by saying things like, and I've seen this, and I'm sure some of you've seen this too. When people say things like, if you buy this game, if you go and buy Hogwarts Legacy, then you're a transphobe. You don't care about transgender people or trans rights. You're a transphobe. You're part of the problem. And I think that's an issue, because it's one thing to express your own thoughts and feelings towards a thing. To try to manipulate other people into taking your side, come on, dude. We don't need to go there. Because ultimately, everybody has the right to support or not support as they please. And as the article asks, can you criticize JK Rowling and still buy Hogwarts Legacy? I believe the answer is yes. If you feel JK Rowling has done something or said something that you are vehemently against, you can criticize that, and you're free to criticize that and say, hey, I don't like what you said. This is why I don't like what you said. That doesn't mean that you then have to say, well, I'm not going to buy your tapes. I'm old school. I'm not going to buy your books. I'm not going to buy your games or whatever it may be, or anything you're connected to. You can still buy something and criticize things that the person who made it or was a part of it has said or done. That is entirely possible. Again, you have the right to not buy it, but you have the right to buy it and say, yeah, I really like this game. It's an amazing game. It's really cool gameplay, graphics, whatever it may be. I mean, the games are out yet. The games are out yet. It may be the best game ever. You can say that. This is the best game ever. 10 out of 10. 10 out 100%, whatever it is. And then still say, as much as I like this game, the person who creates Harry Potter, I don't particularly enjoy their opinions about certain things. I think that is entirely possible. And I think that's crucial, actually, for parts of the discussion, because there's nuance to everything. And everybody has their line that they would draw in the sand. For example, I mentioned the shoelaces earlier. And I think, to be fair, if you don't like the way somebody ties their shoelaces, most people probably wouldn't use that as a reason to not buy a game. Although, I again, that's your right. But I reckon most people probably wouldn't be like, I'm not going to buy this game because I don't like the way JK Rowling ties her shoelaces. I doubt most people would say that. But everybody has their line. And for some people, that line is going to be her remarks on the transgender issues or community. For other people, that line is somewhere else. And no one gets to decide whose line is correct. Because when it comes down to it, all of us, if you are listening to this podcast, you're going to be listening to it on some kind of electronical device. All of us, if you live in, say, Western culture, and probably other places as well, to be honest, but if all of us are doing something or buy into something where somewhere along the lines, somebody is getting hurt. We don't get to act like we're innocent just because this case affects you more than other cases might affect you. You don't get to pretend that you're the good guy in all this, because none of us are innocent when it comes down to it. If we're going to take the line that buying this game means that somebody is a transphobe and they don't care about things like that and the other, then the same could be said for other things. And electronic devices, let's keep it all the way real. Many of them, pretty much all of them really, are connected to some kind of atrocity going on in the Congo. Are we going to say that because you have a games console, that means you don't care about what's going on there? What about Amazon? If you buy from Amazon, does that mean that you don't care about how their staff are treated? You can play that game and it will never end well for you, because ultimately everybody does something or buys from somewhere or takes part in some service where somewhere along the line somebody's getting hurt. That doesn't make it okay, by the way. Let me be clear on that fact. It doesn't make it okay. But let's not pretend that somebody is the bad guy because they're buying something that might be connected to somebody who done some bad things or said some bad things, when we are all doing that and we don't get to play innocent. We don't get to act like we've just so good and pure and nothing we do is bad. Nah, come on. We're all guilty of something. We are all guilty of something. So let's not do that. But yeah, like I was saying, whether or not you buy Hogwarts Legacy, you can buy that game and feel like you still want to criticize JK Rowling. Cool. Or you can buy that game and feel like, JK Rowling, she's a great person. I have nothing, I have no problem with what she said. She's a wonderful person. Cool. Or you can, not buy the game. But what I feel like where we need to draw the line is, let's not try to make others feel bad about their choices over this thing, because we're all doing something that's hurting somebody somewhere along the lines. Maybe it's a direct connection, Maybe it's a bit more distant, but none of us are innocent. But anyway, I feel that's a good place to end. About around at just about 46-ish minutes mark. I think that's a good place to end. Let me know what you think of the things we discussed. Let me know what your opinions on these topics are. I'd like to know any suggestions, recommendations. Drop in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter, all that kind of stuff. Like if you're watching on YouTube, or rate if you're listening on Spotify or anywhere else. I'm not on other platforms just yet, by the way, but hopefully eventually I would be. So if at some point you listen to this on other platforms, rate and all that stuff there, share all that. It's still new. We're still trying to build, still trying to reach out and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, let your friends know, let your friends know, all that kind of stuff. Share it. Sharing is caring. And yeah, if you agree, disagree, it's all good. I'm not here to, like I say in the beginning, it's not about me and my opinion is right and everyone else is wrong. I don't do that. Men don't do them things. You understand? But yeah, if you agree, disagree, let me know what your thoughts and feelings are on why you agree or disagree, because that's, I feel like, where the conversation is. Not just to agree, but to let me know why you disagree. Because if you both agree on something, we may have complete different reasons for agreeing on something. And if we disagree on something, we're definitely going to have different reasons for our viewpoints. So let me know either way. Let me know your thoughts on that. And yeah, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up in the comments, all that good stuff. But that's going to be all for this particular episode of Uncivilized Art. Hopefully I'll be back at some point in the coming week or so-ish. I don't have a set schedule just yet, but at some point, hopefully we will be. At the moment, it is a bit up and down, because it's all new. But as we're finding our feet, we'll eventually get to a point of settlement. Well, I don't know. Do you ever settle, really? Does it ever get settled? I think when you're doing something long term, you're constantly moving in some direction. At least hopefully you are. I think when you settle, you're probably doing something wrong. So may we never settle. How about that? May we never settle and just keep pursuing the things that we're trying to do in this world. And yeah. Or as to quote the great Kim Kardashian, get your fucking ass up and work. But anyway, let me end there. And till whenever, if ever, peace.